Right now, in this very moment, the universe is speaking to you, not in some grand, thunderous voice from above, but through the gentle whisper of your morning coffee steam rising toward the ceiling. Through the way the sunlight hits your window at exactly the right angle to catch your attention. Through the stranger who smiled at you yesterday when you needed it most. God, the source, the universe, whatever name feels right to you, is constantly communicating through the ordinary moments that make up your life. You see, most people are walking around waiting for some big sign, some miraculous event that will prove to them that there's something greater at work in their lives. They're looking for burning bushes and parting seas, missing the fact that the divine is speaking to them through their morning routine, through the challenges they face at work, through the conversations they have with their children. So the sacred isn't separate from the ordinary. It is the ordinary when you learn to listen with your heart instead of just your ears. Every single thing that happens to you is a form of communication from the highest part of yourself, from that infinite intelligence that some call God. When you stub your toe, rushing out the door, that's not just random bad luck. That's life telling you to slow down, to be present, to pay attention to where you're going. When someone cuts you off in traffic, that's not just another rude driver. That's an opportunity to practice patience, to choose love over anger, to remember that everyone is fighting battles you know nothing about. The problem is we've been taught to see life as a series of random events, good luck and bad luck, things that happen to us rather than for us. We've forgotten that we're not victims of circumstance, but active participants in a cosmic dance where every step, every stumble, every graceful movement is part of a larger choreography designed to help us grow, to help us remember who we really are. When you start to see life this way, everything changes. That job you lost wasn't a tragedy. It was redirection towards something better aligned with your purpose. That relationship that ended wasn't a failure. It was completion, making space for the love you're truly meant to experience. That illness that frightened you wasn't punishment. It was your body's way of getting your attention, asking you to listen more carefully to what you need. Think about the last time you felt truly stuck in your life. Maybe you were in a situation that seemed hopeless, where you couldn't see any way forward. Then suddenly, seemingly out of nowhere, an opportunity appeared. A phone call came. A chance meeting happened. A book fell off the shelf right in front of you with exactly the message you needed to hear. Was that coincidence? Was that luck? Or was that the universe responding to your need, communicating through the language of synchronicity? The divine speaks to you through other people constantly. That friend who calls you right when you're feeling lonely, that's not accident. That mentor who appears in your life just when you need guidance, that's not chance. That child who asks you an innocent question that makes you see your whole situation differently, that's not random. God uses the people in your life as messengers, as teachers, as mirrors, to show you aspects of yourself you might not otherwise see. But here's what's really beautiful. You're also a messenger for others. When you smile at someone having a difficult day, you become the vehicle through which love enters their world. When you offer a helping hand to someone struggling, you become the answer to their prayer. When you speak words of encouragement to someone who's lost hope, you become the voice of the divine in their life. We're all angels for each other. We just don't always realize it. Nature is perhaps the most constant and clear way that the universe communicates with us. Have you ever noticed how a walk in the forest can instantly shift your mood? How watching the ocean waves can calm your mind? How sitting under a tree can help you find answers to questions you've been wrestling with for weeks? That's not just the beauty of nature having a pleasant effect. That's the earth itself offering you healing, wisdom, and perspective. The seasons teach us about the natural cycles of life, that there's a time for planting and a time for harvesting, a time for growth and a time for rest. The flowers don't worry about when they'll bloom. They trust the process. The trees don't resist letting go of their leaves in fall. They know that this letting go is what allows for new growth. When you align yourself with these natural rhythms instead of fighting against them, your life flows with much greater ease. Animals, too, are messengers. That bird that keeps appearing outside your window might be telling you it's time to spread your wings. That dog that always seems to find you on your walks might be reminding you about unconditional love and living in the present moment. Indigenous cultures have always understood this. They know that every creature has medicine, has wisdom to offer if we're open to receiving it. Your dreams are another powerful way the divine communicates with you. While you sleep, your conscious mind steps aside and allows your higher wisdom to speak through symbols and stories. That recurring dream you keep having isn't just your brain sorting through random information. It's your soul trying to get your attention about something important in your waking life. Start keeping a dream journal. Write down what you remember as soon as you wake up. Look for patterns, for messages, for guidance that might be coming through this nighttime communication channel. Even your problems, your challenges, your deepest struggles are forms of divine communication. They're not punishments or signs that you're doing something wrong. They're invitations to grow, to expand, to become more of who you're meant to be. Every difficulty contains within it the seeds of wisdom, strength, and compassion. When you can learn to see your problems as teachers rather than enemies, you transform your entire relationship with life. The universe also speaks to you through your intuition, through those sudden knowing feelings that arise without logical explanation. You know what I'm talking about? That gut feeling that tells you to take a different route home. And later you find out there was a major accident on your usual path. That inner voice that warns you about someone before you have any concrete reason to be cautious. That sudden inspiration that leads you to call an old friend, only to discover they desperately needed to hear from you. Your intuition is your direct line to divine guidance. It's not separate from you. It is you, the highest, wisest part of you, that's connected to the infinite intelligence that runs the universe. But most of us have been taught to dismiss these feelings, to trust only what we can see and prove and measure. We've been conditioned to live from our heads instead of our hearts. And in doing so, we've cut ourselves off from our most reliable source of guidance. Learning to trust your intuition is like developing any other skill. It takes practice. Start small. Pay attention to the subtle feelings and impressions that arise throughout your day. Notice when something feels right or wrong, even if you can't explain why. Begin to act on these feelings in small ways and observe what happens. The more you trust and follow your intuitive guidance, the stronger and clearer it becomes. Your body, too, is constantly communicating with you. It holds wisdom that your mind hasn't even considered. When you're in a situation that's not good for you, your body knows it. You might feel tension in your shoulders, a knot in your stomach, a tightness in your chest. When you're on the right path, your body knows that too. You feel energized, alive, expansive. Learn to listen to these physical signals. Your body is always telling you the truth about what's happening in your life. The universe also communicates through repetition and patterns. When you keep seeing the same numbers on clocks, when the same theme keeps coming up in different conversations, when you keep hearing the same song that seems to speak directly to your situation, pay attention. These repetitions are not random. They're the universe's way of making sure you don't miss the message. Sometimes the communication comes through what appears to be obstacles or delays. You miss your flight and end up meeting someone who changes your life in the airport. Your computer breaks down, forcing you to take a break from work that you desperately needed. Your plans fall through, opening up space for something much better to unfold. What looks like bad luck is often divine redirection, steering you toward experiences and opportunities that serve your highest good. The key to hearing these communications is presence. When you're constantly worried about the future or rehashing the past, you miss the guidance that's available right now. The universe speaks in the present moment. It communicates through what's happening now, not through what happened yesterday or what might happen tomorrow. This is why all spiritual traditions emphasize the importance of being present, of paying attention to what is, rather than what was or what might be. Meditation and quiet reflection create the inner space necessary to hear this divine communication clearly. When your mind is constantly busy, constantly chattering, it's like trying to hear a whisper in a crowded, noisy room. But when you create moments of stillness, when you step back from the noise and demands of daily life, You create the conditions where subtle guidance can be received. This doesn't mean you need to spend hours in meditation, though that can certainly be beneficial. Even 5 minutes of quiet time, of simply being present and receptive, can open the channel of communication. Sit quietly and ask a question that's important to you. Then listen, not just with your ears, but with your whole being. Notice what thoughts arise, what feelings emerge, what images come to mind. Trust that whatever appears in the silence has significance. Prayer, too, is a form of two-way communication. Most people think of prayer as talking to God, making requests, expressing gratitude, but true prayer includes listening, being open to receiving guidance and inspiration. When you pray, don't just talk, listen. Create space for a response. Be open to receiving answers in unexpected ways and at unexpected times. The universe often communicates through what might seem like coincidences or chance encounters. You run into exactly the right person at exactly the right time. A book falls off a shelf and opens to exactly the page you needed to read. A song comes on the radio with lyrics that speak directly to your situation. These synchronicities are not accidents. They're evidence of the intelligent, loving force that's orchestrating events behind the scenes to support your highest good. Start paying attention to the synchronicities in your life. Keep a journal of meaningful coincidences, of perfect timing, of unexpected meetings and opportunities. The more you notice and acknowledge these events, the more they seem to occur. It's as if your attention and appreciation increase the universe's ability to communicate with you in this way. Your emotions are also messengers. When you feel joy, excitement, enthusiasm, that's your inner guidance system telling you you're moving in the right direction. When you feel drained, frustrated, or consistently unhappy, that's valuable information too. Your emotions are like a compass, always pointing you toward what serves your highest good and away from what doesn't. But remember, this doesn't mean you should make major life decisions based solely on temporary emotional states. Sometimes we need to move through difficult emotions to get to the other side. Sometimes the thing that challenges us most is exactly what we need for our growth. The key is learning to distinguish between emotions that are guiding you towards something better and emotions that are part of a necessary growth process. Children are natural receivers of divine communication. They haven't yet learned to filter out the subtle messages that adults dismiss as imagination or coincidence. They talk to invisible friends, have prophetic dreams, know things they couldn't possibly know through ordinary means. If you have children in your life, pay attention to what they say and do. They might be delivering exactly the message you need to hear. The elderly, too, often have a special connection to this divine communication. As people near the end of their earthly experience, the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds becomes thinner. They often speak of visits from deceased loved ones, have dreams that provide comfort and guidance, sense things that others can't perceive. Rather than dismissing these experiences, consider that they might be glimpses of the broader reality that's always present but not always accessible to our ordinary awareness. Your life circumstances themselves are a form of communication. Where you were born, the family you grew up in, the challenges you faced, the talents you've developed. None of this is random. You chose this particular set of circumstances because they provide exactly the experiences your soul needs for its growth and evolution. Even the difficulties make sense when you understand them as opportunities for developing wisdom, compassion, and strength. This doesn't mean you should passively accept circumstances that can be changed. Part of the divine communication might be the inspiration and motivation to improve your situation, to heal relationships, to develop your gifts more fully. But it does mean approaching your life with curiosity rather than judgment, with a sense of wonder about what you're meant to learn and contribute through your unique set of experiences. Books have a remarkable way of finding us at exactly the right moment. How many times have you picked up a book and found it contained exactly the message you needed? How often has a friend recommended something to read that ended up changing your perspective completely? The written word is one of the primary ways wisdom is transmitted across time and space. Stay open to the books, articles, and written materials that seem to call to you. Music, too, carries divine messages. Songs have the power to heal, to inspire, to comfort, to challenge. Pay attention to the music that moves you, the lyrics that seem to speak directly to your situation. Artists often channel inspiration from sources beyond their ordinary awareness, creating works that carry healing frequencies and transformative messages. Art in all its forms can be a vehicle for divine communication. A painting that stops you in your tracks, a sculpture that evokes deep emotion, a dance performance that touches your soul. These are not just aesthetic experiences. They're encounters with truth and beauty that can shift your consciousness, heal old wounds, and open new possibilities. The weather itself can be a form of communication. That sudden rainstorm that forced you to stay inside when you needed rest. That unexpectedly beautiful day that lifted your spirits when you were feeling down. That snow that created the perfect quiet atmosphere for reflection. When you start seeing weather as part of the larger intelligence that governs life, even storms become gifts. Numbers carry meaning and significance beyond their mathematical function. If you keep seeing certain number combinations on clocks, license plates, receipts, pay attention. Different numbers carry different vibrational qualities and messages. The universe might be trying to get your attention through this numerical language. Your work, your career, the way you spend your days. This too is an arena for divine communication. Are you energized by what you do or drained? Do you feel like you're contributing something meaningful or just going through the motions? Your satisfaction and fulfillment levels are important feedback about whether you're aligned with your purpose. Don't ignore the messages your work life is sending you. Relationships are perhaps the most intense form of divine communication we experience. Every person who comes into your life brings gifts, lessons, and opportunities for growth. Even difficult relationships serve a purpose. They often show us parts of ourselves we need to heal or strengthen. The person who triggers your anger might be showing you where you still need to develop patience. The person who disappoints you might be teaching you about healthy boundaries. Your romantic relationships especially are spiritual classrooms. The person you're drawn to, the patterns that repeat in your love life, the ways you give and receive love, all of this contains important information about your soul's journey. Instead of seeing relationship challenges as problems to be solved, try seeing them as curriculums designed to help you grow into a more loving, whole person. Family relationships, too, are rich with spiritual significance. You didn't randomly end up in your particular family. The dynamics you experienced growing up, the strengths and challenges of your family system, the role you played among your siblings, all of this shaped you in ways that serve your ultimate purpose. Even families that seem dysfunctional contain gifts of resilience, independence, and compassion that might not have developed otherwise. Your health is constantly giving you feedback about how well you're caring for yourself on all levels. Physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Minor symptoms often appear before major problems, serving as early warning systems. Pay attention to patterns in your health. Do you get sick when you're pushing too hard? Do certain types of stress affect specific parts of your body? Your physical body is incredibly wise and is always trying to maintain balance and health. Money and material circumstances also carry messages. Financial stress might be pushing you to develop new skills or find more aligned work. Unexpected expenses might be redirecting your resources toward more important priorities. Windfalls and opportunities might be confirming that you're on the right path. Instead of seeing money as purely practical, try to understand the spiritual lessons embedded in your financial experiences. Your living space communicates with you constantly. The home you're drawn to, the way you arrange your belongings, the colors and textures that appeal to you, all of this reflects and influences your inner state. When your living space feels chaotic or uncomfortable, it might be reflecting internal disorder that needs attention. When you create beauty and harmony in your environment, it supports the same qualities within yourself. The timing of events in your life is rarely random. Things happen when you're ready for them, when you have the wisdom and strength to handle them properly, that opportunity that comes just when you need it most, that challenge that appears when you've grown strong enough to meet it, that person who enters your life exactly when you need what they have to offer. This divine timing is always at work, orchestrating events for everyone's highest good. Technology, despite its apparent separation from nature and spirit, can also be a vehicle for divine communication. The podcast that automatically starts playing exactly what you need to hear. The video that appears in your social media feed with perfect timing. The technical glitch that forces you to pause and reconsider your approach. Even our digital tools can be used by the universe to get messages through to us. Travel and new environments often facilitate divine communication by taking us out of our familiar routines and opening us to new perspectives. The person you sit next to on an airplane, the unexpected detour that leads to a beautiful discovery, the foreign culture that teaches you about different ways of living. All of these travel experiences carry potential messages and lessons. Your fears often point toward areas where you're being called to grow. That thing you're most afraid of doing might be exactly what you need to do to step into your power. Fear isn't always a stop sign. Sometimes it's a compass pointing toward your greatest opportunities for expansion. The universe often communicates important next steps through the very things that make us most uncomfortable. Your desires and longings are also forms of divine communication. The career you dream about, the relationship you yearn for, the creative expression that calls to you. These aren't random wishes. They're glimpses of your potential, preview of what your life could become. Instead of dismissing your dreams as unrealistic, consider that they might be invitations from your highest self to step into a larger version of your life. Sleep patterns and energy levels throughout the day carry information too. Are you naturally more creative in the morning or evening? Do you need more rest during certain seasons or life phases? Do you feel energized by certain activities and drained by others? Your natural rhythms are trying to tell you something about how to structure your life for maximum well-being and effectiveness. The animals and insects that appear in your life repeatedly might be bringing specific messages. Different creatures carry different messages, different wisdom. That hawk that keeps circling overhead might be calling you to